Turn it around. Okay. Good afternoon, I'm Jennifer White. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. Now these new tax laws went into effect in 2018 and will run until 2025. Today we're going to be dissecting these new tax laws and seeing whether they're good or bad and how they personally affect you. Now, did you notice anything different on last year's tax return? Maybe you didn't get back as much money as you expected, or as much money as you usually do in your refund. Or maybe you actually had to pay in money. That's the TCJA, and unfortunately, it's going to be with us for quite some time. Now, the TCJA came out a mere 2 days before the end of 2017, which makes you wonder if lawmakers actually knew what they were passing, or maybe they did. It's been over 30 years since our last tax reform laws, and yeah, maybe we're overdue. These new tax laws are going to affect businesses, corporate America, small businesses, and individuals just like you and me. But how? Let's delve into it and see. First of all, let's talk about the big business, corporate America. Now, under the old tax laws, the tax rate that they could deduct as a business was 15 to 35%. These new laws have changed it to a flat 21% for all businesses. So if you're a big corporate business guy and you're used to paying a 35% tax rate, now you only pay 21. That's a pretty good deal for those guys. But let's say you're a small business and you're used to paying 15, maybe 17% on your tax rate. Well, now you're paying 21%. Not so good for you. How about individuals? Everyday guys like you and me. All right, so the individuals received a tax rate reduction as well. On average, it's about 3%. So if the average individual is used to paying in 15% on their taxes, now they're only paying 12%. That's pretty good, but not quite as good as the standard deduction looks. The standard deduction under the old tax laws was $6,500 for an individual person. Now that is nearly doubled to $12,000. That looks a lot better, right? Let's dig in a little bit deeper though and see if it really is. There are a lot of things with these new tax laws that have went what I like to call poof, gone. These are deductions that we used to be able to take that now under the TCJA are no longer there. First of all, there's miscellaneous deductions. Now these are going to be things that don't fall into other categories. Stuff like income tax preparation. You're no longer able to deduct the fees that you pay your tax preparer, or maybe you purchase tax software, no longer able to deduct that. Then you've got your union dues, certain educational expenses that are no longer deductible. And then there's things like professional dues and subscriptions. Now let me explain this. Let's say you're a lawyer and you are a member of the ABA or another local or state legal association, and you pay in pretty substantially high dues to that. No longer able to deduct those. Maybe you are a subscriber to Westlaw, which is a very expensive yearly subscription service for legal research. That's no longer deductible as well. And keep in mind, these are all things, expenses that you would incur in order to produce money, okay? You can't deduct those anymore. How about moving expenses? Those are also poof, gone under these new tax laws. Let's say you're an employee and your employer offers you a new job in a new location. Okay, if you relocate, you're going to make a substantially more amount of money. Your employer gives you a moving allowance. Okay, under the old laws, you can deduct that on your taxes. Not under the new TCJA laws. That moving allowance is no longer deductible. But somebody still has to pay the tax on that money. And guess who it is? You. Then there's the SALT taxes. Now those are state and local taxes, okay? That may not affect a lot of people, but if you live in an area where state and local taxes are really high, that is going to affect you if you can't deduct those any longer on your income taxes. Basically, the new tax laws put a maximum cap of $10,000 on any deduction that you can take. And like I said, if you're an average small guy individual, you may never deduct up to $10,000 off of your taxes. But let's say you're an elderly person and you have to go to a nursing home and your expenses for that are really, really high. You can only deduct a cap of $10,000 off that. So that could hurt a lot of people. Now let's talk about alimony. Okay? A lot of divorced people out there. Now, if you are a divorced person and you pay alimony to somebody else, that is no longer deductible under the new TCJA laws. Likewise, if you're one of the people that receives the alimony, that's no longer going to be counted as taxable income. So that's going to hurt a few people as well. But let's go back to the beginning here. Did you notice anything different on last year's tax return? Maybe you didn't get back as much money as you normally do. Maybe you actually had to pay in taxes this last year. Why? Withholding tax. That is the government's sneaky little trick that they've played on all of us individuals. Now, under the new laws, your withholding tax is reduced. And you may not have even noticed it yet, but your employer is withholding less from your check than they did in the past at a different rate, okay? Maybe you noticed that in 2017, let's say you made $18,000, okay? And in 2017, you withheld $3,000 of your taxes. Maybe in 2018 or 19, it's only $94. Now, for the average everyday wage earning American, that could be really cool. Every month you've got more money in your pocket, right? And what are we going to do with that money? We're going to spend it, okay? Because we're the people that are living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and we don't have a buck. We're already a buck in the hole, okay? Most of us don't even have the option of saving money because we're always behind on something. So we're going to naturally spend that. At the end of the year, however, it's not going to add up. You're going to probably end up owing in taxes. That is, unless you have a lot of children that you can use the EIC deduction or credit on or whatever, you're going to end up owing in money, or you're going to get back a considerable less amount than you've been used to getting, okay? So that's going to affect us there. Now, it would be a wise idea to do a little withholding tax checkup. And the IRS actually provides a tool for you to do that. You can go to irs.gov and put in your numbers there and check and see what your withholding would be if you claimed this or if you claimed that on your W-4 forms. Or maybe it might just be a good idea until 2026 to just claim zero, okay? In 2026, most of these tax laws are going to revert back to the way that they were in 2017, but not all of them are. And that's something we as Americans are going to have to keep a very close eye on. There's an idea behind all of this, according to the government, of course. The idea behind the TCJA is that it's going to create 300,000 new jobs. And it's going to raise our hourly wage by 1.5% in the long run. And that's the key word, in the long run. Because it's going to take the long run for us to see any of these results and to see if it even worked. In short, and in conclusion, I like to think of the TCJA as a big, beautiful package. It's nicely wrapped, it's got a big, beautiful bow on the top, and if you're corporate America, or you make over $500,000 a year, when you untie that bow and you look inside the package, you find some really healthy tax deductions. But for the average, everyday, wage-earning American, when you take the lid off that box, all you're going to find is a cheap, generic dollar store gift. That's been the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. I'm Jennifer White, and I'd like to thank you all for listening today.